Oh, and we are live. Yes, we are back, everyone, for Sundays with the General. With me, back again is my original co-host, and he's gone. And he's back.
Technology, man. Technology.
Yep. I'm here with my original co-host of the show, and he's gone.
So sorry.
Yeah, but Andrew Con Sutton of the Boomtown Pod is here. What's going on, brother?
Oh, man. It's bedlam in these parts. We're gearing up for a crazy event this evening. Everybody knows about it. We're going to break it down. It's going to be a ton of fun tonight. And I can guarantee you this. Mama Woodley will be in attendance.
I have a feeling she will. So let's just jump right into it. So the fight that I guess no one really asked for, I guess, well, one of the many fights that no one really asked for, but that we're getting anyway. Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul tonight. I can't stand these fucking Paul brothers. And so what exactly happened? What did they do to piss off Mama Woodley? I never actually watched like the whole video.
Well, it wasn't even the Pauls that did it. It was Paul's camp.
Which is even fucking worse.
And it's funny because, like, not to be racial, but it was another black fellow in that group who was making fun of Tyron Woodley's mother. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But nonetheless, the Pauls are just about hyping up the fight. I felt ridiculous after it because I said to myself, I actually went on Twitter. You can see my post. I said, I'm actually going to order this fucking thing, ain't I? Yeah, I'm probably ordering this thing now. So that's dumb. But they got me. I bit after that one part because, I mean, I have, as everybody knows, I cover MMA. That's my background, right? And so initially when all these rumors came out about who Jake was going to fight next after beating the milk bag that is Ben Askren, I think a lot of people realize
the milk bag that is
Ben Askren is 190 pounds of wrestling. That's all he is. He is never been known. We've been down this aisle. He's never been known to knock anybody out in his entire career. So, anyways, insert a guy who said, well, you know what? If you want to act tough in camps and stuff like that, and who was part of Ben Askren's corner during that fight was Tyron Woodley. Now, Tyron Woodley's a gangster. Like, many people don't understand this. Tyron Woodley is a legitimate gangster. He's a badass. He's a rapper. I mean, he's not great at it, but he's a rapper. He's got a ton of street cred. He's from Brampton. He's from the Bronx. He's from the hood. He grew up there. And now you want to start playing hood games with hood fellas. It just doesn't go the way you want it to 90% of the time. So,
no, usually not.
Yeah, I think tonight you're going to see the gangster Tyron Woodley come back, which was something that became the UFC welterweight champion. When people slept on him, he was at his most dangerous. When he was in the limelight and was Mr. Popular, he struggled. He didn't like it. And I mean, right now you're looking at a guy who has stupid knockout power. I mean, if you watch Tyron Woodley's top 10 finishes, he has some of the most bizarre, insane knockouts. Like the Josh Koscheck knockout, he double punched Josh Koscheck to sleep. Like, if you don't want to see display power, how about when he won the UFC welterweight title and he beat Robbie Lawler, who had never been finished before? So, I mean, that to me says a lot about the power that's in his hands. Plus, folks, he was fighting at 170. He got to weigh in at 190 pounds for this fight. You don't think that 20 pounds of pure potential muscle is going to make a big-ass difference in this fight? Jake Paul, for the first time since he has started boxing, looked like a scared little boy. When he went to the weigh-ins, after all that shit was talked, he looked scared. He's sitting there pacing back and forth, and Tyron Woodley just said, "It's over. It's over already. I don't even have to do any. I don't have to throw a punch, and I know I beat you." So if
I keep seeing like these Jake Paul fans saying like, "Oh, people who really know fighting know that like size doesn't matter in a fight." It's like, well, no, you know what? Yeah, like to an extent, if you really know fighting, the guy bigger than you, maybe it doesn't matter that much. When the guy is 20 pounds bigger than you of muscle and is actually a much more experienced fighter than you, Yes, it matters a lot.
It matters a lot.
It matters a hell of a lot right there.
I'm not taking anything from the Pauls. I think what they've done is pretty cool. I mean, honestly, they've done their thing.
I fucking hate them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say the fact that we are so interested on a Sunday night, which is usually not when boxing is on. I mean, we're all drawn in. I mean, the discussion has been had by, just our Call Your Shot is actually talking about it. Just Bit Outside has been talking about it. We've been talking about it. Luke and I were talking about it. I mean, everybody has been talking about this fight, but that's what they do really, really well. They put asses in the seats.
Yeah.
This event, I'm glad it's with Showcase and not Triller. I think if this was Triller, this would be a joke again.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried that, again, when Triller did the Ben Askren thing, I don't know if Ben Askren took the fall, but I can tell you that a guy who made $2 million looked pretty happy to be knocked out. So I don't know if it was just a payday for Ben Askren, who was paid off to take a dive. But all these folks on Twitter who keep saying Tyrone's going to take a dive, you need to grow the fuck up. Because Tyrone is not going to take a dive.
Dude, Tyrone Woodley doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who takes a dive. And, I've seen that Logan Paul, wants to fight Mike Tyson. And I've seen people being like, oh, Mike would just take a dive for the paycheck. There are certain guys, Mike Tyson and Tyrone Woodley, I think being two of them.
Yeah.
There are certain people in this world, certain guys in this world that you cannot pay to take a fall for you.
Hell no.
That they will not fall for you for any amount of money. It's just not, they're not wired in that way.
It's not in their DNA.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I almost got to wonder how that conversation would go. If you walked up to Tyrone Woodley, yo, let me hand you this extra cash, bro. You want to act like I knocked you out there?
And Tyrone's response would be like, hey, yeah, I'll take that money. And then he would go to the ring and knock him out and be like, thanks for the money.
Dude, if you walked up to Tyson and asked you that, he wouldn't even do that. He'd just hit you for asking you the question.
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, and this is the problem we're running into. I mean, I'm really looking forward to some of the fights on the undercard. I'm really looking forward to Tyson Fury's little brother, Tommy Fury. He's going to be fighting on this card. So
I actually did not know that. Now
he kind of got fucked on this though too. He's supposed to be. They originally had a sanctioned 6-round fight, which is on most prelims typically about the right length. Because of the British commission that he fights for, they're only allowing 4 rounds. So I was like, that kind of sucks. I mean, they're 3 minutes nonetheless. So I mean, you're still getting 12 minutes to Tommy Fury. I am really excited about Tommy Fury. This is a fight that I wanted Logan Paul, not Jake. I wanted Logan Paul to have, was against Tommy Fury, so Logan Paul could just shut him up. And it's been an interview that was talked about. While we're on the topic of the Pauls, today Dana White comes out with another fantastic fucking Dana White quote. Dana White is the best at responses in the world. This man is a fucking genius. Anyways, if I ever get to meet him, I can't wait. I'm shaking his hand, giving him a hug, and saying thanks for everything. Because his comment today was the best. That
was gold. I absolutely loved it.
Obviously, we know that the feud between the Pauls and the UFC, even though the Pauls keep attending all the UFC events and lining Dana's pockets with money, it makes no sense to me. But anyways, nonetheless,
seriously, how much money is he making Dana White bringing themselves and all their entire entourage to all these venues, and then
they're getting charged at least $10,000.
and then drinks and everything in there. Dana's getting a cut of everything that goes fucking on at a UFC event.
Do you think he doesn't love the fans saying "fuck Jake Paul"? Fuck Jake Paul every time that they get the opportunity to, because the last 3 cards have been nothing but fans doing that. So, I listen. Dana White's quote today was the best. If you want to call out people in your 50s, that's a typical Paul thing to do because that's the only people you will fight. So if you knock me out, awesome. You called out a 50-year-old, and I was like, wow, Dana White, man. Just an international treasure. I mean,
well, that's been my problem with the Pauls. Is it's like, dude, if you want me to take you seriously as a fighter, do what fighters do,
and fight
people your age, up and coming at your skill level, and work your way up to the top. That's what fighters do.
Well, I can remember,
dude. Logan Paul. I'm going to throw in a triple T here.
Yep.
Logan Paul and Myles Garrett were going back and forth or something the other day, dude. And Logan Paul responds to Myles Garrett with, "Yo, you saw what happened to Nate Robinson. I'd stick to football if I were you." Bro, Nate Robinson is 37 years old now. He was 5'9", 185 pounds, NBA player. Myles Garrett is like 6'5", 270.
No, he's 6'8", 270, and you think you're gonna beat Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett. I don't know if anybody watched football. Maybe 2 years ago, Myles Garrett, also a thug, took off Mason Rudolph's helmet and beat him.
He swung his helmet at a guy.
I mean, I don't think Myles Garrett's extremely scared of any white boy in the world, to be honest.
And then, I seen another one of these Paul fans being like, "Yo, he doesn't have any fight training." Well, he might not have any specific expert fight training, like technical fight training, but he's a defensive lineman and a very good one at that. He uses his hands
every day,
constant basis, very well. He is good with his hands. He's a defensive lineman.
Very good with his hands.
Yeah, he's pretty good with his hands. He's got handwork, footwork. He can handle it.
He's been playing football since he's 10. That means he's used his hands for the last 15 years straight. So, I don't know. Nonetheless, I think we're getting off topic here. But, I mean, tonight's event, I really do think Tyron Woodley sleeps Jake Paul. It's not going to be I think it's probably going to be the 4th or 5th round, to be honest. I think that first round you're going to see Jake come off a little assertive. He's going to come off a little aggressive like he has in the past because he has slept his last 2 opponents in the first round. But I'm telling you right now, Tyron Woodley is a very smart fighter. He might be one of the smartest minds in MMA. Like, I know he's not a fighter that he used to be, but if you listen to his interviews, if you listen to the way he talks, that man is a very intelligent man. And then Mama Woodley came to his defense when Jake Paul was like, "Oh, he's dumb,"
and he fucked with his mom.
Yeah, and also Mama Woodley's an international treasure. God bless her. And if you don't want to see the clip and you don't think I'm correct with this clip, please go onto my Twitter and follow it because it's the funniest clip ever. But she goes, "Jake Paul said he has no education. He's a very stupid boy." And Mama Woodley goes, "Is that boy retarded? That boy's got education in agriculture." That was like Mama Woodley for the win, man.
That is great.
That's the problem, Mama. And if listen, she's a very well-respected person in the MMA community. This isn't anymore about, I think what people need to get the narrative off that I've really seen about Twitter the last couple of days is the fact that people think this is still the MMA going into the boxing world caliber type thing. No. That's over now. Tyron Woodley's been done with the UFC for almost a year. Okay? He is now a professional boxer, amateur boxer. I'll give him amateur boxer status. He is an amateur boxer now. The narrative of he's presenting and representing the MMA world, no. Because if that was a thing, he would still be in the octagon and he would be representing the UFC. That's the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather thing. That's what that would be. That's not the situation here. This man has literally worked with some of the best hand coaches, including 2 weeks with Freddie Roach, who is the best boxing coach ever. So, I mean, there you go.
There's not a conversation to be had about that one.
There's 2 notorious coaches in the world of boxing. Mike Tyson's old man, Mr. D'Amato. Maybe like
Cus D'Amato.
He is
Freddie
maybe
Roach.
Yeah, and Freddie Roach. Those are the 2. I mean, those are the 2 biggest names ever. And I think Tyron was straight up disrespected by them. He hasn't. I've watched his body language, man. His antics this week. He's not over the top. He hasn't even when they did this stupid, ridiculous face-to-face on Showtime with Ariel Helwani in the middle. And I love Ariel. But this back-to-back was some of the dumbest shit you've ever heard Logan Paul say out of his mouth. Or Jake Paul. And Tyron was just like, "Are we done?" Like, you could just read his body language. Like, I just can't wait to smoke this kid. And then when they did the weigh-ins yesterday, you saw Jake Paul eating his Raising Cane's chicken and calling Tyron a chicken. And then he proceeds to grab the chicken box and throw it at Tyron's camp. What are you doing, man? Like, stop with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
grow up.
Stop with this. You're 29 years old, man. You're about to go in the ring with a 37-year-old who has 30, 40 plus fight experiences in his life, and he's knocked out the who's who of the division. So tonight, I'm looking at the betting odds right now as well, and wouldn't you believe it, Tyron Woodley is the underdog. I don't know how. So if you're wanting to go make some bank, plus 115 is what I'm seeing right now for Tyron Woodley. Throw a 20 on there and make yourself some money.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. So we'll jump into some NFL news real quick. We're 2 weeks away from the season. So we don't have much going on, but we do kind of have a lot going on. First of all, Minshew Mania is on its way to Philadelphia. A 5th-round pick. I don't know if that affects Jalen Hurts' starting job at all.
I don't think so.
Probably not a solid backup to have, I guess, if you're Philly.
Yeah, I think I think for Jalen Hurts, it's going to have that guy who's behind you who's played in the NFL before. I mean,
yeah,
it's having that guy,
and it's also if Hurts falls off the rail and you do need to pull Hurts, Minshew's not a bad fallback plan.
Minshew's a great number 2. I mean, he's a great backup. I mean, I don't think any organization would be upset to have Gardner Minshew as their backup quarterback. He's had a small sample size in Jacksonville. We saw what he could do with a team that, let's face it, Jacksonville has not been good for many of years. I mean, he tried his best. He's got a ton of heart. I like Gardner Minshew. He came in, won some pretty impressive games. Minshew Mania became born. Shout out to Dre Rogers, his biggest fan. I mean, I think realistically, their pickup of just a 5th and a 6th is perfect for them. I mean, he's going to come into the system. He doesn't have to worry about Trevor Lawrence taking every snap. I mean, Jalen Hurts is unproven at this point, right? Like, I mean, you really could make an argument to say that Gardner Minshew, if Jalen Hurts is struggling, could top up in that position in Philadelphia, which I don't think Philly's going to have a great year this year. I think they're kind of on the come down after the Wentz thing and all the drama, and Hurts hasn't looked.
I mean, I think it would be a terrible move to bench Hurts this year because I think you need to give him a full year. And
you do have to get him.
You can't bench him and screw his confidence again, which is but that's totally something that Philadelphia would do. And to
Philadelphia,
me,
that's why I'm saying it. If it wasn't Philadelphia,
it's Philly, dude.
They've done it for the past 10 years. I mean, they had Carson Wentz. Nonetheless, Minshew, it's a good pickup for them. It's a reliable backup and a guy who has some game savvy to him.
Yeah. The big news last night, man, prayers to him, J.K. Dobbins got hurt last night. You hate seeing a guy get hurt in any preseason, at any time of the season, let alone preseason, let alone the last preseason game. I went to the MRI this morning. They think it's an ACL tear. His season's probably done. And now this is a bad loss for Baltimore.
Well, I think I agree with you fully because I think the one thing that they really needed to establish this year was the fact that they couldn't have Lamar Jackson be the guy who does all of it again, right? They need Lamar Jackson to be a quarterback. They don't need him to be this hybrid running back as well. And J.K. Dobbins was prepped to pretty much have that big year. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to make that next step to really relieve some of that pressure off Lamar and let Lamar throw the ball a little bit. I mean, his biggest criticism has been that he's very inaccurate. Well, how do you change that? How do you change that? Well, you let him throw the ball and try to adjust to throwing the ball again, right? I mean, he's not awful. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's a terrible quarterback, but at the end of the day, you now lose. The other thing with Dobbins is he's a very good blocking back. So,
yes.
I mean, now you're going to go on the Gus train. Gus Edwards is obviously their number 1 guy now. His fantasy value just went through the roof as of yesterday.
But how much does it go through the roof? Because I don't think he's going to get the carries, but I don't think Gus Edwards is an every down workhorse back, and that's what you're.
He's an RB3. If you got a flex league,
and that's what you're stuck with as your workhorse now. That's what you've got.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean,
it was him and I saw the name of the other guy that's on the depth chart for the Ravens right now in the running back room. Yeah. I don't even know his name. It's like Tyshawn Wallace or something like that. I don't even know who he is. I already forgot his name. You lost. Don't forget, you lost Orlando Brown. You traded Orlando Brown away in the offseason.
Ravens after this injury, they're going to have a tough season. I think it's going to be not as good as people thought it was going to be. I think they're going to lose. I don't know if they're going to have the 8-8 season, but they might be 9-7. I see them flirting with 9-7 this year, especially because
You
that
you
division
you,
is
you
tough.
need someone other than Lamar to pound the rock in
Yeah.
that offense.
Yep.
And I don't think Edwards can hold it up for you. I think that's a terrible loss. And then you look at like you'd like to say like, okay, well, who can you make a trade with, right? I don't think that
There's not too many
because
teams
anything
vying to
available.
make trades with running backs because it's getting
The
pretty valuable.
only team you probably could have made a trade with for a running back was the Patriots, and they just
Michelle
made the
got
trade
dealt.
to the Rams.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation for sure. I think it's developing to be a pretty weird year in the NFL because of these injuries, and some guys have early retirement and people switching homes, and I mean it's gonna be interesting. But nonetheless, I think that when I look at the Ravens squad, and like you just mentioned, the loss of Orlando Brown and now J.K. Dobbins and that O-line regressing, it's not what it used to be. I think you kind of have to look at the situation where Lamar is now going to have to throw the ball. And if you're an opposing defense, you fucking like that game. You love that game because, again, we know how inaccurate that boy can be. So it's going to be an interesting time in Baltimore. I'm going to go on the record and say they finish the season 9-7. I think they probably make the wild card of some sort, but I don't see them having a very good year because I think they really were going to rely on Dobbins quite a bit. And the other thing, not only is he a good blocking back, he can catch. That the play he made.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's one of the things. Like it's a lot of what you try to do in that particular offense is the misdirection, and you don't know where you're gonna go. So that's the whole thing. Is Dobbins lining up next to Lamar? Is Lamar gonna run the ball? Is Dobbins gonna run the ball? Is Dobbins gonna sit back and block while Lamar throws the ball? There's a whole list of things that runs through the defense's head.
Yeah,
when you're sitting there at the line of scrimmage, and a lot of that is gone now.
Yeah, I mean, he made a really good before he got hurt. He made a really good play on that, and I was like, damn, because Lamar looked like he was getting some backside pressure. Got the dump off to J.K. J.K. got 5 or 6 yards there, and I was like, oh, that's a good play. And all of a sudden, I saw his knee kind of hyperextend. It kind of went stiff. If you like, I've had ACL problems before, but like it looked like it went stiff, and I was like, oh, he's in a world of trouble.
It didn't look good.
No, my thoughts are with JK. I hope he gets better. I hope he's back next year. Obviously, Travis Etienne, same thing. He's out for the year. Jacksonville probably had a lot of faith in him coming back and wanting him for this season with Trevor Lawrence, his college mate. And now it's the James Robinson show, which, if you recall on ITL, I did say James Robinson would be in the top 10 for fantasy value. And boy, does that look good now.
And if some of you may know, I drafted James Robinson very late.
Very late.
Last Sunday, I drafted James Robinson very late. And
late.
I'd sound like a sick motherfucker, but I was very happy with myself after the Travis Etienne news. Because, listen, I loved James Robinson last year. I had him last season, and I fucking loved him. I saw him late, and I'm like, I don't even care if he's technically supposed to be the number 2 guy, dude. I want fucking James Robinson again.
Yeah, well, James Robinson show again. So you snuck that one. I think it was like the 10th round. I think I looked at you and I went, "Oh shit, he just drafted James Robinson in the 10th round."
Yeah.
How is he still there?
I remember sitting outside smoking and being like, "Oh shit, James Robinson's still there."
All right, James Robinson, welcome to my team.
Even though Sheila took Tyreek Hill from me.
Damn it, Sheila.
Damn it. She did send my headphones back to me though.
Nice lady.
The headphones that got driven to San Antonio. So I gotta do a couple of triple T's here. You know the deal. So everyone was pissed off the Patriots the other day because they traded Sony Michel. And everyone was going off about how bad of a draft pick this was by the Patriots.
No.
See, okay, so I'm glad you agree with me on that. They picked him 31st.
Didn't he win a Super Bowl?
Yes, his Super Bowl run in the playoffs, 336 yards and 6 touchdowns. Emmitt Smith never ran for more yards in one playoff run than Sony Michel did that year. And the only player to ever run for more touchdowns or run playoff run than that was Terrell Davis in 1997.
Hey.
So,
New England, you got a title out of him. Shut the
Yeah, you
fuck
got a
up.
title out of him. So I saw this tweet. Drafting Sony Michel over Lamar Jackson was a mistake that will haunt the franchise. Okay, now Lamar Jackson is a better overall player than Sony Michel. And yes, with the uncertainty at quarterback last year, sure, Lamar Jackson was better than Cam Newton last year. And that probably would have been nice. Sure. Now, at the time, Tom Brady was here. At the time, the Patriots' need was a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does Lamar Jackson backing up Tom Brady in 2018 help the Patriots win a Super Bowl?
I saw that status or that tweet, and I honestly said the same thing. I said, "Oh, the General's going to be worked up on this one."
I don't understand it.
Listen, New England fans, pump the brakes. Sony Michel won you, arguably as the best running back in the playoffs that year, a Super Bowl. He was incredible. He was dynamite. He was everything that you guys ever wanted. So don't bitch because he's gone. Be happy because he won you a fucking title, which is hard enough to do in this league. So I
Dude,
will
he
say
won you a
this.
Super Bowl and you got a 4th-round pick for him.
Exactly. You are now in the situation where Sony Michel is going to go to the Rams, who are a team that is decimated. And I mean decimated at the running back position. Akers and like they're gonna run Henderson first. We know that. But Sony Michel is a proven number 2 guy. He was doing it last year too. So just pump the brakes. You got a 4th-round pick. We know Belichick can draft. Just enough.
Yeah, just settle down. Settle down.
Be excited about this year, and from what you guys have seen with Mac Jones and Cam Newton's development. Even I mean, Cam Newton has looked much better so far in the preseason than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for. I mean, I was listening to NFL Network the other day, and they said that Cam Newton looks like a much better quarterback than he was last year.
You can see the arm looks. Just the arm strength itself looks better.
His throwing looks much more crisp. And I think that's because he's worked, again, with quarterback coaches. He worked with Belichick for another year. Listen, you can't – the thing with New England is I think the expectation is because Brady was there for so long, right? I think people are expecting him to be Brady 2.0. It's not going to happen. That's not who Cam Newton is. Cam Newton is still learning the offense. He's still learning Belichick, but Belichick trusts him. The organization trusts him. The players trust him. The players like him. So – here's the thing. Mac Jones is sitting in the wins. We've seen what Mac Jones can do. If I'm New England right now, hey, listen, it's Cam's team. If Cam doesn't play well, then whatever. Let it be. We got this kid, Mac Jones, who we've seen in the preseason, who's lit it up. There's some confidence there. Mac Jones is still in his first year, people. First year. It's preseason football with backups and third stringers. Let's just pump the Jets. Let Cam do his thing. And if Mac Jones has to come in, you got a good backup.
I should have made this its own banner to go off on him. But since you brought up Cam so much, so Scott Zolak the other day. Now let me ask you this: you're a big football fan. You ever heard of Scott Zolak?
Yeah, Boston media.
Oh, okay. Oh, you've heard me make fun of him
a couple times.
Yeah. So Zolak the other day, watching practice. This is the team's broadcaster for the games, color commentator. Said the coach needs to turn off the rap music because Cam is dancing too much to it. And then he took the next day off of work and didn't go in on the radio. As of right now, I guess he's still calling the game tonight. People are digging up all his old tweets, and you know how there's like that, like, you know, people can be like borderline racist at like times with like things they say. It looks like he's like steps over the line.
Didn't ESPN just let somebody walk because of almost the exact same situation?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I
hope the Patriots do the right thing, and I hope they pull him from the broadcast. It sounds racist, and he obviously has a bias against the quarterback of the team. I don't see how you can be.
I just think Cam Newton, I've always liked Cam Newton. And this is like, he's not a great quarterback. And I know that he's not a good quarterback. But from what I see, everything that guy does is about having fun. It's about realizing that life is more than the sport, right? Like, let's face it. And I think that's why some people don't like him, is because he's not business driven and the Patriot way. You know what I mean? Because you've had that for years.
Well,
You've had the Patriot way.
He is, though, because
But he is,
like,
because Belichick likes
he
him.
works hard.
Pats
This
like him.
dancing in between throws thing, like, people are like blowing it up, like, oh, he's dancing in between his throws.
Let him.
He's dancing when he's stretching. Brady used to do that. Brady used to dance
But people
when he
forget
was
about
stretching.
that.
Brady used to dance in between throws. You all didn't care about that. That's the part that's bothering me.
It's the narrative.
Why do we care that Cam? Yeah, it's a narrative.
It's a narrative.
It's a stupid narrative.
Yeah.
And it also brings me to another triple T that someone said. Of course, it's a guy from Boston saying this. There's a reason. It's because Cam Newton. It's because of the color of Cam Newton's skin. You know, it might be because of the color of Cam Newton's skin. But Scott Zolak is not from Boston. He was born in Pittsburgh, born and raised in Pittsburgh. He went to school in Maryland.
Yep.
Landed here as an adult. What Scott Zolak said is not representative of anyone in the city of Boston.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy from Pittsburgh.
I just think that's the position that obviously the people have to look at, and obviously that starts with the crafts and being like, hey, is this the guy that we want to be calling on games and tests and stuff like that? And obviously it's the network through radio, and I just think if somebody in ESPN,
of course,
Rachel got canned for what she said about other employees, why is the narrative there for just him? So I don't know.
Yeah.
What's our next triple T?
I think that might be it.
Cool.
Yeah. I was just gonna keep saying, like, I don't know how Zolak thinks he has the right to talk about anyone.
I don't think anybody in the media has the right to talk about how athletes perform or do their things. I mean, we can sit there and criticize or critique or whatever it may be, but to make comments like that just doesn't make any sense, because Brady, yes, was smiling, goofing around on the sidelines when he was warming up. You always see it. He did it for 16 years. So why is it because
Cam
some
Newton
guy
threw 8 touchdowns last year, right? That was, everyone complains about that. You know, it sucked.
Look how bad that team was last year.
How many touchdowns do you think Scott Zolak threw in his entire career?
2 in Pee Wee football.
8 in the NFL. He threw exactly 8 touchdowns in his NFL career. Listen, his most famous thing as a commentator, I'll leave you with this one. This will be how I wrap it up. 2012, 2013-ish, playing the Saints in New Orleans. Brady threw a touchdown to Aaron Dobson back of the end zone with 10 seconds left.
I think I remember that game, actually.
Something like that. Won the game. Yeah. Awesome fucking game. Awesome throw. Zolak commentating it. Gets all excited naturally. But his reaction, he goes, unicorns, show ponies. Where's the beef?
Don't like that.
Yeah. That was, and then he goes, that's your quarterback who left the building. Still don't know what he means by that, but yeah, that's his most famous radio call. Unicorns, show ponies, where's the beef? In response to a game-winning touchdown.
Well, this just in, Kirk Cousins has responded. He does not like that.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins does not like that. Okay.
Does not like that.
and we'll get Josh Elliott to confirm, but I don't think Kirk Cousins likes that.
Unreal.
Well, that's all we got for you today, folks. Just keep in mind, in 2 weeks, it will be the NFL season. This show will not be on at 1 p.m. Eastern time because I will be watching football.
Are we going to be doing...
We will be on earlier. We'll be doing Blue Collar Game Day. I have not decided on a time yet. I was actually going to talk with you about that because you're my number 2 guy now.
It's big deals. It's big deals.
Yeah. I got fucking you and Mr. Top News. That's my muscle wall. I got one arm, dude. And I'm not really displeased about that.
No, well, I'm excited for the NFL season, man. I'm also, again, excited for tonight. If you guys want to find me, I'll be doing some analysis during the fights, of course. You can find me at the Boomtown Pod on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook. Enjoy Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul. I'm telling you right now, Tyron Woodley, is going to silence all of the critics. Thank God.
Yep. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. We will see you next week.